Hi, welcome back to another Kenny M Cave mystery video. This is a viewer request by Aviator Lad 22, I think that's the number, and it's looking at Really Robin's final video before leaving YouTube. Now, if you haven't watched the video and you don't know what's happened to Really Robin, top right corner of the screen there should be an icon on this video or in the description with a link to a video I made previously, a Q&A with Really Robin, clearing things up and basically explaining what's happened and the situation. The reason why I made that video was for if in the future there's no more confusion, there is no more disappearances or supposed disappearances, to clear things up before, you know, things end up going down the rabbit hole and all over the place. But getting into this video, it's basically me giving my opinion and looking at Really Robin's final video of it was demons that got Kenny, killed him, and it was demons that were present when Sean was coming out of the hike in the dark. Now, the actual title of his video is quite direct. Now, I don't know if that's him saying it's a theory or if it's him saying this is exactly what happened. From the tone of his voice at least, and the way he speaks, from his viewpoint at least, he thinks it was demons and it's not a theory, it did happen. Now, in my opinion, do I believe demons were involved in Kenny's disappearance? I'd say likely not. I don't think they played a role. Do I believe they exist to begin with? Well, one thing I will say is, like with paranormal stuff and like ghost-like activity, I believe that can happen and it's present all over the world. I believe in that part. As far as demons, devils and all that, one thing I've got to acknowledge is that there is a chance that it could exist. I don't know if it did play a part with Kenny though, but there is a chance it can exist out there, like with other dark kinds of things as well, and rituals, sacrifices and all that dodgy stuff. And the reason why I say that is just simply because of my own past experience. I did have a demonic experience in the past, a demonic sighting, which I'll explain a bit later on in this video if you carry on watching. But just getting back to my opinion on Really Robin's video, I'll show you a little clip now of it and then I'll explain further.
And that's when he saw it. This is the last thing Kenny Veach ever saw. This is what's been following you, Sean. This is what's been inside the M Cave. Don't go there. I'm warning you. They'll kill you. There's only darkness and death there. Just don't go out there anymore. Don't.
So if we look at Really Robin's voice and tone of it to begin with, some people could assume that Really Robin sounds a little nervous, unsettled and a bit uncertain, and that he stutters as well. But to clear things up, from the Q&A video I did with Really Robin, he did say that he was reading from a script and he wanted to include everything, and he was a little nervous because he didn't want to mess up. So that's understandable, that makes sense. But if we look at the tone of Really Robin's voice, especially after he makes reference to the demons playing the part in Kenny's disappearance, he does, you know, abruptly raise his voice, his tone gets a bit deeper, sounds more authoritative, a bit more stern. I think that's just to reinforce the danger, the reality, in his mind at least, of what has happened, and he wants other people to know that this is a serious situation and it's not something to mess around with, because if you end up going, the same could happen to you. So that's what I get from that in terms of his tone of voice. And additionally, at that point he does talk with more confidence, so it clearly shows that he is clearly fixed that this is exactly what has happened, which isn't a problem. Shows that he believes in what he says, so that's a good thing. But let's move on to the actual appearance of this demonic-like creature. So here it is. Tall, looks to be dark, kind of muscular, faceless, I'm not sure about that, and wings. At first when I saw it I thought, oh, is that Mothman? Obviously it's not, but you know, Mothman 2 had wings as well, some kind of urban legend, urban myth. So yeah, you've got that drawing. Now let's just move on to the next one, which I believe is the same one, but with the wings closed. 7 foot tall, 12 foot wingspan. The actual height of this thing is believable. That's what I'll say, because look, you've got people, real humans that are 7 foot tall. I remember some Dutch bodybuilder or something who's 7 foot. So it is believable. That does exist. And probably even with demons as well. 12 foot wingspan, that's pretty big. The key thing I just wanted to add, the key focus, I might be wrong, but this drawing actually looks pretty, well not pretty, looks fairly similar to another sighting of a completely different video. I'm not saying the idea was taken from that and then applied onto here, but there is a little bit of similarity at least, and what I'll do is I'll show you the screenshot right now. Okay, so here is the example I was comparing it to in terms of similarity. Now, you can't see much on screen right now, but I'll show you a still shot of the actual video, as I feel if I was to show video footage, maybe get done for copyright or something, because this user doesn't seem to be active anymore, so I can't really ask, can I use this, whatever. But basically, we're comparing this drawing, at least the shape of it, at least the roundness of the head, the facelessness of it, and I guess maybe the arms crossed. This is what I'm comparing it to. Can you see what I mean? This is basically a screenshot of the video of this. As he's walking through some kind of cave system, he comes to this. I did change the filter to make it a little bit clearer. So from the looks of it at least, some kind of tall, dark figure, maybe dressed in some kind of clothing or a robe. But then if you look, supposedly that's the head at the top, quite round, a stone-like grey colour. So if we try and do a comparison, let me just get rid of this. That. Round, grey head. Round, grey head. Now the only reason why I'm comparing it, because of two things. Either one, not so genuine, and this drawing was made as an idea and inspiration from this, or maybe it was done genuine, naturally. There was no influence. But I think regardless of that, the second key point to make is, if this is similar to that, and that is similar to this, and this does exist, then there's a chance that will exist as well. You see what I'm getting at? Because it kind of looks similar. Now, this says 7 foot tall. I do not know if that's 7 foot. His head, or its head, doesn't seem to be reaching the top, does it? It's down there. So maybe it's not quite the same thing. Now, I don't know if this was ever solved or debunked. I don't know of. But I just wanted to use it anyway as a comparison because it kind of reminded me of it. But if this was ever solved and it was some kind of demonic thing, then, you know, it kind of reinforces the idea that maybe there was demons to play with Kenny Veach because it's kind of a remote area. And the similarity is cave. It's a cave. This is a cave. Kenny looking for a cave. Who knows what's inside? And the final thing I just wanted to make reference to is this, what I came across a while ago. 4chan, some kind of storytelling thing, creature in the Nevada desert. Didn't really look into it, but, you know, the more references that are made about something, the more likely it is to exist, maybe. You know, it is a bit of a stretch, but, you know, you got to understand, the more people that see something or the more people that experience it all across individually kind of makes it a bit more realistic to believe in, doesn't it? Whereas if you just had a individual that saw something unnatural and nobody else saw it, would it really be believed? No. Now, this story might be a load of bullshit because I've not really looked at it, but, you know, as a bit of, well, I don't know if you'd call it that, but a bit of entertainment or some kind of story time, if you want to watch it, feel free to do so. That's the name of the channel if you want to watch it. I didn't want to share any video footage because of copyright and all that. So yeah, finally, getting into my demonic encounter. So the demonic encounter which I experienced and saw was when I was around the age of 9 to 10 in primary school. Now what happened was there was a residential trip to a certain location, and we got there, we did activities, had fun, did all kinds of things. But towards the end of the stay at the hotel, if you want to call it, they called us out to go into the woods late at night, like a campfire, sit around a campfire and sing songs. Now, I didn't think much at the time. You know, we went out, we walked across the grass, the field, and then approached the woodland. It was quite dense, compact, and obviously dark. As we approached the campfire, we sat around and just started talking and passing time. Now it was a bit misty that night, and across the fire there was a little stream, and then on the other side of that there was like scout huts but done as traditional teepees. Now I don't know if they were in use at the time, but they were there, and it kind of made things a little bit weird and spooky. Now I didn't know much of demonic stuff or anything like that back then because I was too young to even consider thinking of it, but I did feel uneasy. And as time went on, while sat round the campfire, I suddenly heard rustling of leaves and kind of like snapping of twigs. And as I looked around, all I saw was a faint outline of a devil, a demon. It was lurking in the darkness. Couldn't quite make out all of the detail, but I could quite clearly see the redness of the skin, the body. Now I didn't know how to react at the time. I didn't really feel much, maybe because I was young. I looked at it for a little bit and then I just turned away, carried on talking. Then very shortly it got closer, the noise of the rustling of the leaves. And as I looked around, it was in clear sight. It was resting near a tree. It was holding a trident. Its tail was moving on its own, with a point brushing against the bushes and leaves of vegetation. The face, the body, was very scaly. Sharp teeth and horns. Now still, I was so surprised. Wasn't expecting it. I ended up telling my two friends by the side of me what I've just seen, and we all looked, but we all didn't react. We just stared at it. It was very weird, because whilst you had the noise of the campfire and the other people from the school talking and singing, us three were almost isolated but within the same area, just focusing on this demon-like creature. It was very weird. And eventually my two friends ended up turning around and continuing on singing or talking, but I just carried on staring at it because I didn't want to turn around, because if I turned around, surely it would get closer and closer. Now, as I continued to stare at it for which seemed like a long time, I started smiling, laughing, with its mouth wide open. But there was no noise, there was nothing, it was pure silence. It was laughing at me. I don't know why. I don't know if it was a sign. I don't know if it meant that I was a joke or something bad was going to happen in the future. But it is what happened. And as I continued to stare it down, it just slowly stepped back, very slowly, into the vegetation and darkness and just vanished. Its movement was very slow, but it remained eye contact with me throughout. After that, I kind of forgot about it to an extent for some reason. Tried to distract myself. And when it got to time of leaving the campfire, returning back to the hotel, just walking down that long dark corridor was a little uneasy. Now I, unfortunately, was the last one to go to the bathroom at the very end of the dark corridor with no lights on. Walking along, I enter the bathroom. There's a slight noise coming from the fan from above, which doesn't help, and one of the toilet doors is half open. A little squeak sound. I rush to brush my teeth. I don't even bother to turn the lights on. I rush to brush my teeth to speed it up and just get back to the dorm. But as I get to the dorm, one of my friends who I notified about the sighting of the devil when we all saw it, one of them said to me, "Hey, have you seen this out of the window?" And as I looked out the window, I saw a red glowing light towards the woodland area. I could quite clearly see a bright, beaming, glowing red light. And that, I thought, oh god, that's enough, what is going on? So after that, went to sleep, continued on throughout the years, and I completely forgot all about it from there on then. And in recent years, I brought it back up, remembered it, said it to the odd few people. It was a very weird experience, but one thing I will say, what I saw that night was 100% real, and I say that with pure confidence. But one thing I will clearly state, there is a chance it could have been a prank. But that costume, that moving tail, the detail was very realistic. And if it wasn't truly a prank, then it was one of the most fucked up pranks you could do to an underage person, to an extent of vulnerability, without even debriefing at the very end. So what, you're led to believe for the rest of your life you saw that maybe bad things happen in the future, and then you think you curse or you think bad things have happened. You see where it can lead on. You can see, in a way, the psychological damage it can do. Now with me, I completely forgot all about it. I brushed it off. Maybe because of the age I was. But regardless, it was a very weird experience. And regardless, one thing I do always think back to, what would have happened if I did not turn around and I was completely oblivious of what was staring down at me? Would it have got closer? Would it have jumped out? Would it have grabbed me? What would have happened if I just got up and followed it into the darkness? Who knows? Something very dark could have happened. And even if it was a prank or some kind of human dressed up, what would it have led to? Rape? Molestation? you never know, because you can't trust humans. But to do it around children, very weird. So the reason why I added that story into this video, I say story, real life experience, is because, as like what Really Robin said, he says to do with demons playing a part. Now, although I said they may not play a part with Kenny, that's just my opinion, I do believe there's still a chance somewhere that maybe there is a chance. So yeah, you know, I've had experiences, so it kind of makes sense to see where Really Robin is coming from. So yeah, I think that sums it all up for now. Hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.